always wanted to be able to play like that. Did not listen to my mother. That'll always get you in trouble. Boa tarde. Good afternoon to everybody in Portugal. Good day to you if you are lucky enough to be back in the United States or anywhere else in the world for that matter. My name's John McNertney. Hola. Nice to meet you. I am happy to welcome you to a webinar tonight that I think is going to be pretty darn great because I don't have to do as much talking as usual. But I will give us a quick intro here. I'm joined by my lovely panelists, Jake Schwartz, Miguel Tabuado, and also Ryan Ahrens. And we're going to get started here. So, Green Ocean Global Disclosures. The information contained does not constitute personal or otherwise important information. It's not entirely true. But what we want to point out is that most of you are not a Green Ocean client or a move-in client. And as such, we are not bound by the protocols of our normal client relationship. And so most of what we have to provide to you tonight is educational in nature. And we have done our utmost to ensure that it is factually correct. As is always the case, we are going to be putting this recording up on YouTube after we talk tonight. And so please check out the content there. So I will get started. My name is John McNertney. I am from San Francisco, California, now happily settled in Lisbon, Portugal. And if you don't know me, you can go ahead and read more about me on our website. A lot of the folks on this call have heard enough about that. Ryan Ahrens is my fearless partner in crime here. And in actuality, he spends a lot of his time doing a lot of spreadsheet work. Ryan and I met over 10 years ago in San Mateo, California. But nowadays, he is writing point on the investments console on behalf of our clients. Done an amazing job this year, not just on our diversified European strategies, but also on our artificial intelligence strategy. Here we go. It's been a fantastic few years. Let's see if that lasts. As well as he is the sort of reigning champ of how many hours can you sit in front of a computer here in the office. We are also hosting Miguel Tabuado today. He's a real estate professional here in Portugal. What can I say? His firm is actually a really excellent resource for us. They have been helping us at Moveinn to navigate a number of issues, including, getting your NIF, navigating Portuguese taxes. There's a whole range of issues that they can take care of in a consolidated way under one rooftop. Today's presentation will be led by Jake Schwartz. He is a newer member of our team, but is by no means new to the business. Jake was an accounting professional with a prominent beverage company that I don't think I'm supposed to name. And so he is like an intuitive guy, but he's very numbers centric, which of course in our business is extremely important. So today's agenda is all about cost of living. Now, when people think about Portugal, oftentimes they think about the word cheap, right? They think of cheap housing, they think of cheap life, they think of cheap wine. But for me, that word is doing an awful lot of work in that sentence. As a matter of fact, Portugal is by no means cheap. And in fact, there are a number of ways that you can live in Portugal. You can live the high life if you want to, or you can, in fact, try to cut a budget. But what we're going to talk about today is the specific examples of ways that you can really kind of push that concept to the maximum. We're going to be talking about specific section areas of Portugal because there's different areas that you can live within this country. And we're joined by a local expert. Okay. And so I want everybody to be sort of thinking about this as we make our way through. Miguel is, and don't let his perfect English fool you. He is Portuguese. Okay. He's got the beard, so we know. But the guy is going to be able to be on hand to answer our questions. So please light up the chat. I opened up the chat tonight because I'm not going to be talking, so I'll answer your questions in there. And with that, Jake Schwartz, I'll let you take it from there.
Awesome. Thank you very much, John. Very excited to be here and speak with Miguel about cost of living. So if we want to go ahead and go to the next slide. So as financial planners at Green Ocean Global. We are financial planners, so I think it makes sense to kind of frame first what is a financial plan, what is financial planning, before we can speak a little bit more about the cost of living specifically in Portugal. So whenever you meet with a financial planner, you go over five foundational parts. You've got your investments, you've got insurance, you've got cash flow, estate planning, and then definitely for people that are interested in moving to Portugal, that tax planning piece is a massive consideration. Financial plan really helps you align every dollar with your individual values and allows you to place your resources in pursuit of your life's goals. So taking a look at cost of living, that really does fall in that cash flow planning part of the financial plan. I kind of like to think of it as you go to the beach, you watch the waves roll in and come roll into the shore and flow back into the sea. That really is, in my mind, what cash flow planning is. You've got your income, which is flowing in, and you've got your expenses, which is flowing out. An interesting note is that food, transportation, and housing are typically the three largest expense items for a household, making up 50 to 75% of a monthly budget. Why is that pertinent to moving to Portugal? If we can control these three categories, food, transportation, housing, utilities. This is a little graphic that I made comparing how far $7,000, for example, will take you in San Francisco versus in Lisbon. So as we can see, housing, transportation, and food are stacked up quite high in San Francisco, only allowing maybe $1,000 a month for future savings, for retirement, or for things that you want to do. Life's short. You want to go do a lot of fun, cool things. What's interesting is if we pull the lever of reducing housing, food, and transportation, we can increase our future planning for retirement. We can do more fun things. So cost of living is a large consideration. If we go to the next slide.
Jake, have you ever been to San Francisco?
I have been to San Francisco, yes, and it was, yeah, the coldest
Terrible place
summer.
to design a budget. Yeah, that's true. That too.
So, on a similar vein, this is a map of the US. It's cut into four separate regions. So we've got the Western region, the Midwest, the South, and the Eastern Seaboard. And what are these numbers in the middle? They are comparing to the cost of living specifically to Lisbon. Lisbon, the reason that Lisbon was oh, John, will you go back, please? So in the Western states, Lisbon's about 42% cheaper. The Midwest, where I am from, Lisbon's going to be about 32% cheaper since, Illinois is the budget area of Illinois, of the US. But southern states, we're looking at 33, and then the biggest difference is going to be those Eastern Seaboard states with about 45% difference than Lisbon. Now, if we go to the next slide, how does that match up to other Portuguese regions? The north of Portugal is 33% cheaper than Lisbon, which is the most expensive part of Portugal. The center of Portugal is about 40% cheaper. We found that the Algarve was 27% cheaper and Alentejo was 34% cheaper. And I do have a speculation because initially I would think, Alentejo, I feel like it should be lower than Central Portugal, but and my reasoning was maybe the Eastern, there's just not a lot of data in Alentejo, so that could be why. I'm not sure if Miguel has any inputs on that.
I mean, Alentejo, Alentejo is a very specific area because you have both ends of the spectrum. You have the inland Alentejo, which is pretty much crickets and desert and nothing happening. And then you have the coastal side of Alentejo, where you have the $1 million mansions and expensive restaurants and expensive lifestyle. So it's
Miguel, by the way, Miguel, just this is really interesting, but I want you to also introduce yourself really quickly. So, Miguel, are you broadcasting from your office here in Lisbon?
yeah, sorry. Actually, I am not in Lisbon at the moment. I'm in a coastal area called Ericeira, close to like 40 kilometers from Lisbon, really next, close to Lisbon. An expat community, a really strong expat community here.
Meaning it's also not cheap, right?
It's also not cheap. If you come to Portugal, please hop onto Ericeira for have a really nice grilled fish, but definitely not cheap. Right there with Lisbon.
True story. It's beautiful, but it's a true story. I've got a couple clients living out there. It's like not an inexpensive place to live.
Beautiful, but
Right over here. All right. Sorry about that.
No, that's all good. Thank you for that. So yeah, I think it's quite interesting to see how the coastal areas are, you pay a premium for the coast, which does make sense. So I think it makes sense to take a little deeper detail look on the general cost of various things comparing the US to Portugal. This is coming straight from our cost of living survey that we sent out a couple of weeks ago. So thank you to all of the people that took the time to fill that out. Very much appreciate that. What was very interesting, at least in my point of view, was the data that we collected from our cost of living survey was very much in line with the averages that you can just pull up on the internet, which reinforces that data, because you can't always believe what you see on the internet, especially now. Utilities on average in Portugal, we found were 45% cheaper than you will find in the US. Very close to that number is the monthly housing expense. So we're talking about rent, we're talking about mortgages, on average 38% cheaper. So housing is cheaper, utilities is cheaper, it makes sense. John brought up bottle of wine in Portugal. It's significantly cheaper. It is not hard to find a €2 or €3 bottle of wine, and Portuguese wine is fantastic.
$2 Chuck, we still got it.
But don't drink those, the €3 ones.
Why, Miguel?
Headache next day.
It depends on how much you drink, though, doesn't it? I know you. There we go.
Aim towards the €5 plus ones.
And Ryan, can you take Miguel off of the company Christmas list? I'm not having him at our party. Over budget. That's all I gotta say.
Well, I just say
I've tried them all, so
Me too.
and looking through this too, I really like in the text box, talking about rideshare services and things like this. Like, some of the people we work with are coming from the city and they want to have the city experience living in Lisbon, which is a pretty significant change in cost. But, there's a lot of lifestyle differences too, right? You're coming from the suburbs and you want to live that suburban life because, or more urban life. It's a lot more accessible, in a metropolitan area like Lisbon. So I found that pretty interesting too. I love doing Uber when I'm there. It's like $7 to cross the whole city. It's awesome.
Well, if you're anything like me, you don't have a car in Lisbon, and I personally don't want one. I don't like driving on the cobbles, makes me a little sick. But you can find an Uber reliably for anywhere from €6 to €10 to €12, and my experience with that in the US is it's not going to be less than $30, $40. So massive sticker shock with the with the Bolt and the Uber.
Say, don't forget Bolt.
Yes, Bolt. Bolt is what I use, definitely.
yeah, you can easily drive outside the city for €20. You can
Mhm.
literally come in certain times of the day, come from Lisbon to Ericeira for €25.
It's fantastic. Door to door, door to door. Yeah, and I see the same thing again with restaurants. Restaurants on average 59% cheaper across the board, which is amazing. Eggs.
Actually, restaurants, it's something interesting because Lisbon is still one of those cities where you can still find the nice, cheap restaurants with proper Portuguese full food. And don't get fooled by the prices because they can be, I don't know, 10 euros, between 10 to 15 euros per meal, and the quality of the food is good. And I think all John and Jake and Rael will support me on this one.
Absolutamente. And the tascos também, porque adoro todos os tascos. I love all those little tascos in the city. You can actually get like a home cooked meal for like €8.
Buy a grandma.
By Euro.
Yeah.
That's the real Portuguese experience,
Yeah.
honestly, is like if you go out to the expensive restaurant, you're not even really getting like the real kind of Portuguese experience. A lot of your sort of like if grandma's making the food, you know, just outside of being invited to your best Portuguese friend's house, hint, hint, Miguel,
Yeah.
then you're not going to get the best stuff for top dollar necessarily. It's really interesting.
That's true.
A good quick question from the chat. What is 45% of what, if you could just quickly define that for us, Jake? Like, what's kind of the baseline being compared to here?
Yeah, absolutely. So that utilities number, it's considering anything from TV subscription, water, electricity, sewage, gas, that's all wrapped up in that. So anything that you would subscribe to or have to pay for your house on a monthly basis is the utilities number.
And I believe that's based on the survey you did. So this is general numbers from people that we polled, few hundred responses, their costs in the United States versus average cost in Portugal, just so people know what this comparison is looking at.
Exactly right. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for the clarification. So yes, will you go back one more? Thank you, John. In line with that, insurance, 68%, not surprising. We see health insurance in Portugal is significantly cheaper than what you're going to find in the US. But it is interesting to note things like gasoline, much more expensive, but you also don't necessarily need a car. And then things like televisions and Netflix are kind of flat from the US to Portugal. Next slide, please. Right, so now we're going to transition and take a little closer look at the real estate, specifically in Portugal, real estate market.
Yes, before we dive in, can we answer a question from the chat, which is mortgage rates? Mortgage rates, are they comparable to what we see in the United States? Or is that something you guys want to maybe wrap up with? Happy to take your lead on that.
So in terms of mortgage rate, well, I can take the lead on that. Mortgage rates much lower than the United States. At the moment, they sit at around between 2 and 3%, depends on the bank you choose. For an important note, if you're a foreigner buying a property in Portugal, you may have access to, let's say, average 60% of the total value of the property. Depends on each institution, what collateral you're able to provide. But I would say on average 60%, you can stretch that to 70 or 80, depending on your finances. That will be with a Green Ocean. But it's between 2 and 3% at the moment.
And as thank you, Curtis. Again, one of our client points out, the big difference is the age factor. Because in Portugal, you will be capped at, is it 70 or 75, Miguel?
So I am not sure. I think it's 65 to 70.
Yeah. I have seen some go as high as 75. There's always
so to clear for our Americans that haven't seen this before, to clarify, if you're 60 years old and you're moving to Portugal, you want to get a mortgage, the lender may approve you for a mortgage, but you have to pay it back in 10 years, right? They're not interested in having your heirs sell the property and pay off the note. They say, let's make sure this happens in your lifetime. So it is a pretty big change and, you know, has to be considered, because in America, you can get a 30-year mortgage when you're 80.
As Carlos Santos has pointed out here, actually Americans can get them right into the grave. It's fascinating and kind of weird if you think about it. But Carlos points out that I have actually seen some contracts go to 75. Carlos says 80. I haven't seen that, but I have seen to 75 for sure. Lenders can get very flexible. I don't know. That's just my lived experience.
I just closed a mortgage myself to buy a property, and they accepted up to 65.
Yeah, makes sense.
So Okay, so taking on what John said in the beginning, and again, thank you, Tim, for the invite to be here tonight. Portugal, I'm sure most of you already read somewhere that Portugal is cheap. Well, good news or not so good news. Update, it's not cheap anymore. I would say we need to level up a bit, and it's now affordable, not cheap. And that will depend, of course, which city are we talking about, because you may have a few discrepancies between Lisbon, Porto, the main urban centers, and other Portuguese cities. Well, in this graph, you'll have a macro perspective of the real estate market in Portugal. Basically, resilience, growth, and transformation. I would say these are the words that best describe the market in the past 10 years. And it's pretty perceptible by looking at the graph because it's been improving and growing year over year steadily. I mean, it's been resilient because whether we had COVID, we had the inflation, we had the rising of interest rates, and yet real estate Portuguese market kept growing and kept increasing in terms of their prices. This is a national average, and the price went up 164% in the last decade. This is easy to explain, and I would say it's explained by basic economics, supply demand, and there is a huge gap between the demand and the supply. The main drivers for this, I would say, it's the influx of people moving to Portugal, relocating to Portugal, living mid to long term, and the structural problem of shortage of properties. And this is what you don't see on the internet that much, but this shortage of supply, it's what has this such a huge impact in the market at the moment. In terms of influx of people, I mean, you have a bit of everything in terms of profile. It was initially started by the lifestyle for those aware of Portugal that just wanting something more from their money, and would make a lot of sense because in Portugal you'll be able to buy nice properties for not a higher price, and you would get to enjoy the sun. I mean, everything you read on the internet, the good food, the I don't know how many days of sun per year, the nice people, and all that. And that was the I would say the main wave. But right now you have a lot of people that's digital nomads. We are attracting entrepreneurs. We are attracting families looking to move here just because the country is really safe. You see a lot of stuff happening in the world, and in Portugal, everything is, yeah, it's okay. We just live our daily lifestyle, nothing majorly bad happening, which is what we want, right? So this is something that I've put together, and I hope I've done a good job. I kind of relied on our good old friend ChatGPT.
Oh, you created this all on your own.
Yeah,
And by the way,
right. Yeah,
guys,
I
this is
created
my
this on
moment
my
to point
own,
out that all of these are
but
available to you. The slides are available to you, and these are truly great comparisons. So,
I mean, the idea here, it's not to make an exact comparison between the US, it's just to put it in context for you to be able to understand um, the US equivalent city and the Portuguese and their Portuguese brother. So here I would rely on the team to support me if I've done a good job or not. But
absolutely.
hopefully,
Evora is Santa Fe. I love that comparison. Santa Fe, New Mexico. We are Breaking Bad all over Evora. That's perfect.
hopefully this help you have a better understanding on what the Portuguese cities look like, their vibe, and how they are. And again, you have access to this presentation, so you can later jump on it and see it more in detail to actually check if the comparisons make sense.
Absolutely. I have had
Hopefully
clients
they
move
do.
to Coimbra. I've had people move to Cascais. I happen to love Cascais especially. We've got, of course, beautiful Lisboa. This is a really good slide. It's dense, so we can't make our way through it today, but
Yeah,
it's
it's dense. So
fantastic.
I'm probably the best person to talk about this slide because, okay, a bit of context. I was born in Coimbra. I did university in Porto. I went to Braga a lot. So Braga, it's known for their young population and pretty women as well. Just side note. True. I was a tourist in Évora because I mean Évora it's kind of mandatory. And every Portuguese does holiday in the Algarve South, right? And I now live in Lisbon.
Os britânicos também, infelizmente.
So Lisbon and Porto, I would say they are the main anchor markets in Portugal. So they are the most matured ones. Lisbon being the capital and the one to get more attention from the beginning, and Porto kind of followed that lead. Again, as I mentioned before, Lisbon started as lifestyle. Portugal itself started as lifestyle. Lisbon again started as a lifestyle city. Now is attracting way more people from all segments and profiles. Um, Lisbon provides a huge premium segment. So pretty much in the property market in Lisbon, you'll find an awful basement with leaks and humidity, and you'll find really premium properties. But I would say the market is characterized mostly by renovated apartments because we have a lot of old buildings within the city because it's an old city. We have historical buildings with an historical importance. And we have the modern condos, which goes aiming towards more the premium end of the spectrum.
Miguel, I am a little curious. So I understand what residential is. You go live in it. I understand investments, rent it out as a landlord. What does premium and lifestyle mean when in regards to real estate?
Lifestyle means a lot of people are moving to the city just because of the lifestyle. Clients that they just want to spend a few months of the year in the city, and they want a nice property to be able to enjoy the city while they're here. In terms of residential, it's mostly residential buildings. Mean the residential market in Lisbon, it's pretty strong and keeps developing. So if you have to describe the Lisbon property market in a few words, would be drive by residential. It's really prone to investment, a lot of demand on the lifestyle, and also has a lot of supply in terms of premium properties.
All right, we do have to keep on trucking, gentlemen. I want to make sure that we make our attendees don't start
Okay.
dropping out from fatigue. I don't know. I have ADHD, so I'm always aware of the
This
time.
this slide again, it showcases you, and you have a visual representation on how these prices have evolving for the past decade as well. I mean, again, Lisbon is, of course, leading the way. Lisbon, Porto, and Cascais. And then you have which I consider the best opportunities in Portugal at the moment, especially for investment or as an alternative to the main urban centers, which are Braga, Évora, and Coimbra. Braga and Coimbra, they're more of a structured cities. They provide more infrastructure. They have more life. They're more dynamic. Évora, on the other hand, it would be more of an historical site. You want a really quiet and relaxed environment around you, be away from everyone and in touch with nature. So every for you. If you want to be in a smaller city, Coimbra and Braga, they would provide you a great quality of life. And Faro, if you want more than 300 days of sun per year. So Faro definitely, and you don't like cold, Faro, it's the place to be.
Wow, look at these growth rates. Porto is up 209%.
Doubled, yeah.
Yeah, that is wild.
But
Price
Ahrens
of
I
on
think
property.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's neat to note that Coimbra's only at 41%. So whenever Coimbra triples, probably want to have a house in Coimbra.
It's a
Fun
college town,
fact.
right? So it's full of people that speak lots of English, and it's got that dynamic vibe.
Yeah, and fun fact, Coimbra has one of the I mean, most people doesn't know this, but has one of the oldest universities in the world with around, I mean, around 700 something year old. So it's right there with Cambridge and Oxford. And another fun fact, this one is fun. Everyone watched or know Harry Potter, and the Harry Potter costumes, they were inspired by traditional student costumes from Coimbra. You know those black capes? They came from Coimbra. It
That's
was just a
amazing.
way back in the day to you couldn't, I mean, identify rich from poor, so everyone would have to dress equally.
Yeah, at Hogwarts, everybody has to wear one of those
Exactly.
things. Average home price. Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I created this heat map of Portugal to kind of give you an idea of where real estate was more expensive. And I think it lines up pretty well with the cost of living. Lisbon's the most expensive. The Algarve is the second most expensive, followed by Porto and Braga. But what is interesting to me is that little part of Alentejo that we talked about earlier, where those $1 million mansions are, which drives up the cost of living for all of Alentejo. So,
We have
we
our version of the Hamptons there. And as you can see on the map, but it's you have it. So in that map, you can see you have a trend. Coast side of Portugal, you pay a premium for that. Inland, it's kind of forgotten, especially from Portuguese people. But with all this influx of foreigners, they kind of are paying more attention toward the inland of Portugal. And again, of course, Portuguese people are following the trend, and now we find the inland interesting, more interesting now than before.
Where's Castelo Branco in this one, Miguel? Is it up here?
Just yeah, right
That's
around
what I
there.
thought.
Yeah.
Yes.
However, I mean, it's kind of close to Coimbra, but to get there, it's just mountain road. But it's a
Hmm.
scenic and it's beautiful. So if
Yeah.
you ever had the chance to explore Portugal more than the most obvious places that ChatGPT provide you, just go ahead and do it.
Okay, we're gonna have to run through these guys because I want to get to Q&A. So let's give our best attention to the lightning round here.
Yep, I completely agree. So Braga, northern Portugal birthplace. Next slide. Silicon Valley, new people. We've already discussed that. What can
Yeah.
average buy you in Braga? So I went through and pulled some listings off of Idealista. This is what you might be able to purchase in Braga for the average, which is about 1,800 euros per square meter.
Oh,
T2, two bedroom, two bath, a mile from the grocery store, a little over a mile to the oldest cathedral in Portugal. And if you need to go get go sit on the Praça da República, have a meal, a coffee, a cigarette. It's what Europeans do. So that is Braga. Miguel,
and
anything to add on Braga?
yeah, a lot of new residential developments. So they're really good. Nice quality construction in Braga.
Yeah.
How required is a car in Braga? Question from Brian.
How?
Are you
Sorry?
car are you car dependent in Braga, or is there decent public transit or Uber, Bolt?
I would say mostly car dependent. Outside, and this is easy. Outside Lisbon and Porto, central, you'll require most likely require a car.
Fascinating. Going a little south of Braga, we find ourselves in Porto, largest city of northern Portugal. You've got the stunning views of the Douro River. I did take this picture myself. I am not a photographer. Clearly, that is why I'm here and not out there taking pictures. Um, but what's interesting about Porto, in my opinion, if we take a look at the right, the entire downtown is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Down, John, down. Look at those streets. Those are beautiful.
Yeah,
There, you got, yeah. I
gorgeous.
my history, yeah. Famous for port wine and Francesinha. Next slide, please. Miguel's going to be mad at me here because he wanted me to take out this, but that's okay because I think this is better. So, Villanova de Gaia is just south of Porto. In Porto, you're going to pay about 3,000 euros a square meter. But if you go just south into Villanova de Gaia, you can find something like this for 2,700 per square meter, a 3-bed, 2-bath, 10 minutes from the Jardim do Moro, which is a beautiful spot where you can look over the Douro River, you can see Porto, and 1 minute from the Ponte Luís Bridge. So if we go back, that's the bridge in the top right corner on the last slide. There it is. Gorgeous. 1 minute away. That's fantastic. Go back, please, John. Thank you. Kilometer to the grocery store. Very good. And then you're a half mile from the Sé de Porto, which is
Why were you guys disagreeing on this so much? You said before we did this that Miguel was gonna call you on the carpet. Miguel, is he wrong? This is not Porto.
It's not Porto. If you sell, piece of advice, don't tell anyone from Porto that Vila Nova de Gaia is Porto. Otherwise, you may be in trouble.
Is that like telling him that Benfica is more important than FCP?
Exactly.
Yeah, don't call it Frisco. We have that here too. Don't call it Frisco.
Don't call it Frisco, just please.
I thought that was a sandwich.
It is. Yeah, it's not a place.
Moving south from Porto, we've got Coimbra, home place of Miguel, if my memory serves correctly.
Exactly.
So I think Miguel, do you want to talk about Coimbra real quick?
Yeah, really nice little city, historical city. It's like a mini Lisbon. Really hilly, really old buildings, historical buildings, old university. It's considered the city of lawyers and medical doctors, in a nutshell.
And most
But
importantly, the tallest eucalyptus tree in Europe, which is a fun fact
it's
that I
true.
found out.
Yeah, it's true.
So what can average buy you in Coimbra? 1,600 euros is the average which you're going to spend on square euros per square meter. And this is what you can get. A kilometer to the grocery store, 2.2 for the shopaholics to the Coimbra shopping mall. And this looks sufficient. I would live in this T3, but yeah.
Coimbra Center, you can skip a car, but it's nice to have. And also Coimbra is driven by students market, so it's nice for buy an apartment and rent the rooms. If you want to live yourself, really nice and newer developments, residential developments as well.
Couple quickies. Miguel, if you could chime in on this, is Coimbra hillier than Porto? And second question was, what are the best cities with good schools and family friendly? I would think all. The Portuguese have an excellent education system, right?
Yeah, even the public one.
Mm-hmm.
So first question is right there with Porto, is as hilly as Porto and Lisbon, but it's just smaller. So you don't have as many hills, but the ones you do, they are hilly.
So you've only got 6 hills instead of 7, right? Like
Yeah,
like
exactly.
beautiful Lisboa, right? Capital city of Portugal, cosmopolitan, several UNESCO heritage landmarks, and the most expensive city in Portugal, and the home of Green Ocean Global Advisors. So fantastic, fantastic. Yes, next slide, please. Thank you, John. What can average buy you in Lisbon? Lisbon's not cheap. 43 or 4,500 euros per square meter will buy you something like this, which actually looks pretty cool. Looks like it's some sort of rooftop apartments, three bedroom apartment, no elevator, which is important to note, but it is a 2-minute walk to the metro station. So you would not need a car in this location. 1 kilometer to the Praça do Comércio, which if we go back one slide, John, that is in the bottom right corner. Gorgeous place. Every time I run by it in the morning, I am shocked. Yes, thank you. Yes, next slide, please.
But for those of you that are willing to live without the elevator, you can lose all the weight. I lost 25 pounds when I moved to Portugal because I have to walk up and down the hills and no car. So there we go.
It's free gym, basically.
Free gym. Academia, same compensatory. Yeah. Evora.
Yeah. Evora, yes. John, will you mute yourself real quick? Thank you. Yes, so Evora in Alentejo, again, multiple UNESCO heritage sites, got Roman temples, known for cork trees. And what does average get you in Evora? Something like this. two bed, two bath. This is actually a top-down duplex. So if you're interested in rental real estate, investment real estate, this could be a good option for you.
So
Since
yeah,
it's close to it's close to the temple, close to a bone chapel, could be a good place to put some sort of an Airbnb.
yeah. It's mostly consisted by historical buildings, really old buildings, and residential apartments. And Havre also, it's our own version of the Athens Acropolis.
I love it. I love it. So we've got one more location to take a look at, and that would be Faro in the Algarve. Again, like pretty much all of the other cities we've talked about, cobblestone streets, medieval walls, cafes, and cathedrals is what you're going to find in Faro. Like Miguel mentioned, plus over 300 days of sunshine with mild winters, which is fantastic. And like the rest of Portugal, good access to healthcare and education. So, what's average going to find you? Something like this. 4 bed, 3 bathroom with air conditioning. Very important in the Algarve as it does get warm. About 5 kilometers, that's 3 miles, roughly to the international airport if you want to explore the rest of Europe. And again, half-mile to historical sites and a little over a half-mile to a ferry that will take you directly to the beach, if that is something you are interested in.
And you have more than 100 of them, so you won't be run out of beach to explore.
That's right.
I was
Well,
going to ask for our Californian clients who want, accessible beach kind of lifestyle, or maybe not just our California clients, where it would be good to have that kind of lifestyle. So it sounds like that's the place.
Yeah, and actually Faro Airport, it's the second busiest airport in Portugal, and it's an international airport.
Excellent.
So
And I
I'm going to
believe
move
they,
towards the Q&A as soon as we can, because we have lots of great questions that have been gathering, and I definitely want to hit on those. But you had a note to make on the rental markets, Miguel, before we head on.
okay, just quick note on the rental. Again, the prices have been increasing the same way as the property market. Again, this is explained and driven by a structural problem, which is not enough supply. So, and the demand it's getting and it's increasing every day. So there's just not enough properties to rent. Um, One important thing is like the shift kind of changed from short rental towards the medium to long rental leasing because people are now establishing themselves in Portugal. That's why the prices are increasing. And one important piece of information, because this is a misconception when people, especially foreigners and Americans, are buying in Portugal, which is when you buy a property for investment, in most areas you're not allowed to get a short rental license to operate on an Airbnb or on Booking anymore. So this is really important. And we can move on.
I think this is your slide, right, Jake?
Yep, just to kind of wrap up, cost of living, is it a foundational pillar of your financial plan? I think so. Cost of living is not just a statistic, it can be a determinant of whether you have a successful financial plan or not, which is why it is essential to have a personalized financial plan that reflects your life in Portugal before you make the move and work with experts that have helped hundreds of people to move that way.
Thanks, Jake.
Oh, was that a long story short? That was a long story short. Yeah, is that do a financial plan so you can know if your money is going to last. And before we move on to Q&A, Ryan's going to talk, as we always do, about what's happening in the U.S. stock market, because that's kind of our day job. I know, guys,
I
you're here
did
for rental properties, but
I did just want to throw it out there. I mean, let's hit on the first 3 slides. Maybe jump to the Q&A, and I can come back talk about AI bubbles and stuff. We've got a few things going on here at the end of the year, but I want to take the momentum from this great conversation. Just a quick check-in on 2025. Top performing asset class this year, I'm going to grab the pointer too, John, is going to be gold, 60% on gold. So I hope you've got your grandma's chain and everything ready to go. Bitcoin down -1%. However, not on this are the companies that offer crypto, which are being heavily deregulated and having a great year. So the coins themselves not doing so hot, but some other sectors doing just fine. Small cap here at 15%. We got the Nasdaq up 23, S&P up about 18. Emerging markets, including China, 31. So those are kind of your highlights heading into the end of the year here. Going at the next one. This is busy. There's going to be another one in just a second, but I wanted to chart inflation by country from 2012 through 2024 because we're talking about cost of living over here. So there's a bunch of spaghetti back here before 2020. John, go ahead and hit the next one. There's a bunch of different highlights. So these are kind of our core that we care about. Green, United States. Red is the entire Eurozone. Portugal in blue. Switzerland, because they were the lowest inflation, I kept them on the chart. But as you can see, Portugal has had some times with much lower inflation than the United States, and in fact, in 2020, pretty much hit zero. And then at other times, due to some of the overlap with the EU policy and US government interest rates and how it affects the global economies and the euro's ties to the dollar, we do have some kind of going in lockstep. But the point being, if we're starting at a lower base, even higher inflation does still give us a decent translation when we take our US earned piles of money and go retire to Portugal or live in Portugal in our 40s, like John. Federal Reserve, so we'll just do the quick hits here. They restated their target. They want 2% inflation. Inflation this year, 3%. They dropped rates by 0.25%, current federal funds rate 3.75, and they also said we're going to do one rate drop next year, 0.25%. I don't believe them. All right, go ahead and hit next, John. I think they're going to do two. So really quick, yield curves. This is the 10-year treasury at its peak. This was the peak inversion. That means longer term treasuries pay less than shorter term treasuries, right? Well, right now, this is starting to almost look normal. Almost. What this big dip right here in the 1, 2, 3 year mark says, I'll read the tea leaves for you. Large governments and financial institutions think that rates are going to drop further in the next couple of years, but we'll see. So go ahead and continue. Effective rate, just go back one, effective interest rate, and this is fun for nerds like me. Federal funds rate 3.75. That's the rate banks borrow money. The effective rate 3.88, and that's just built in, right? Banks are taking their cut. Financial institutions always get their piece. 3.88 is the effective interest rate at that 3.75. All right, go ahead. Now we can come back to this, talking about some markets and stuff like that. Let's jump over to the Q&A and come back to it. Because I like these.
We do for our day job mostly just this. Isn't that amazing? But we love Portugal the most, and so Miguel and Jake are here to talk more about that. Now, one of the first questions we got from Ron. Ron asked a question that's a bit topical, and maybe we can answer this, Miguel. Ron asks, I know that we're not lawyers here, guys, but can you please talk for a moment about the Constitutional Court decision that was handed down yesterday regarding citizenship? Okay, so did you read that one, Miguel? The Constitutional Court declared key parts of the nationality law unconstitutional, and so they kicked out this whole law. And most of our clients, our audience, they probably want to go, does that mean the 5 to 10 year citizenship piece was suspended?
It doesn't mean it's suspended. It's now on hold.
Right.
And we need I would say we won't get any updates until by the end of January.
Right.
So the Constitutional Court considered it unconstitutional, so it needs to be debated again and then reappreciated by the president.
So they're going to rewrite it, but they're probably going to revisit this in the new year. But it's still good for those of us that have been here for 4.9 years.
Yeah.
This guy. So I'm going to get that language test done and try to get through before they make that change. So that's for Ron. Somebody named Lena said, if one person is an EU citizen, Lena,
I have the context from this.
Oh, okay.
So we were talking about mortgages and length of time, and she was asking if a person is an EU citizen, does that change the offering of mortgages in any way, either on time, interest rate, or any other availability concerns?
That's a good question, actually. Miguel, if one person's an EU citizen and the other person is not, does that change the terms that a Portuguese mortgage broker might offer?
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah.
Some nationalities are more risk prone than the others, and they take that into consideration.
Ooh, let's not name names, okay?
Yeah, sounds like some
Like,
corporate level biases allowed.
yeah,
Hmm,
yeah, it is
Well,
true. It is true.
if you're a Russian right now, don't even think about it. Like it's a charged environment. I shouldn't bring that up. Lori asks, apparently many rental contracts have illegal clauses in them, but real estate agents tend to pay no attention to them, even if an attorney advises them to change them. Does one just sign the contract anyway, or do you possibly lose the property because the landlord won't agree to modify the contract? So does that make sense, Miguel? There's like a clause
Yeah,
in the contract that's
I
illegal,
would.
but the
Yeah,
landlord says, "Hey, if you want the
yeah.
property."
It's a bit of a wild, wild west in Portugal. So that's why I always advise you to be with a professional like myself or any other person that knows exactly what they're doing. They know the market, they know how the market works, they know how the market operates, they know these specific details, they think these little things that happen. Um, but it happens a lot. Landlords pushing towards illegal clauses and basically saying, okay, if you don't want to accept it, I'll just rent to someone else. And that
Yeah,
happens a lot.
that
Doesn't
used to happen in
happen a
San
lot with,
Francisco.
yeah, doesn't happen a lot with my clients, also because we have all the legal support, and I only advise clients to sign if it's fully validated by our legal team. Otherwise, I'll say to the client, it's a red flag. Let's move on and find another property.
That makes sense. Does the same shortage of supply exist in detached homes as apartments? So are there, some types of homes which you might find have a much larger supply problem, basically, or are they all kind of the same? You have to think about all types of dwellings in the same way.
Most of the supply around the entire country is based on apartments.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. It's a high
Mostly
density.
apartments. Lisbon doesn't have villas. It's just a residual amount of villas. For instance, Braga, outside Braga, you may find villas already, but within Braga, it's mostly apartments. And throughout the entire country, it's mostly apartments.
Here's one for you, Jake, and I hope you can take this one because it is kind of a curveball. Russ asks, is it possible to do a checkbook IRA? Is it possible to use a self-directed IRA to make an investment in an investment apartment?
Yes, you can, as long as you are not using the apartment for yourself. So as long as the income that you're deriving from the rental apartment is going directly back into the IRA, you can.
So that
That
is
is
a
a
yes.
yes, Russ. And that's the exact same answer we would give you if you were trying to do this in States as well, actually. Somebody named David wants to complain about the housing. I love this complaint because I do it all the time. He says, I just moved from an old home in Alcobasa. Sorry, Miguel. Once in November arrived, it became very cold in the interior because of the construction. It's being ancient. Not all homes are built to be comfy in colder weather. Well,
Welcome
normal,
to
right?
Portugal.
Exactly. You just said what I was going to say. Welcome.
Piece
Bem-vindo.
of piece of advice: make sure that you have AC. Well, if you have AC and the construction is not good, you have a higher electricity bill, but at least you'll be comfortable. And always try to understand the quality of the construction of the property that you're buying or renting. But it's
Question
common in Portugal.
question on real estate, and these are actually two questions I'll just smash together. What is the long-term outlook for property values in Portugal? And then the sub question is, do you expect properties to continue to appreciate, or are parts of the country in a bubble right now?
Uh, in my opinion, people have been talking about bubble for the past 7 years, and yet nothing happened. It's no, because, and I'll just throw this number for you to have a perception. We have a shortage of, and this is public statistics, we have a shortage of around 500,000 properties in Portugal. So imagine in the last decade, we built less 165,000 properties than the decade before. So just imagine how long it will take you to fill in this gap between supply and demand. It will take you a long, long time.
Yeah, I agree
So
with
we
that.
expect to have more people coming, and we are not building at a not we are building at a really, really, really slow rate at the moment.
We had
Would
a
you
couple comments
say
about, sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
I was just curious. I mean, here on the West Coast, U.S., the permitting process has gotten very expensive and complicated, and you've got to study to make sure that you're not disturbing the brown tree squirrel when want to add a driveway to your house.
Yeah.
So, is that kind of, I mean, why so slow in filling that demand? I'm curious if you can comment on it.
Many reasons. So after the 2008 crash, a lot of small real estate companies went bankrupt. So
Hmm.
you don't have as many companies operating anymore. Um, and that kind of had a huge impact. And the fact that the licensing time in the municipalities take a really long time. So what that does is if you are an investor or developer and you are, I don't know, building a new development, you will aim it towards the higher end. So you want to maximize your returns. So you're not aiming this development towards the middle class. You want to extract as much value. So that's why the newer construction that you have in Portugal, it's all in the millions. It's a way more expensive than what the average people is or can or is willing to pay.
Thanks, Miguel. Question from the Q&A. Is it true that there is no such thing as home inspections before purchasing a home in Portugal?
Okay, so it's not a common practice, but it's something I advise clients to do. So
Hmm.
it's not mandatory to do a house inspection, but it's really important to do it. And then you can do it in two ways, or you do a formal inspection with an engineer certified by the engineering order from Portugal, or you can request a more informal inspection to the property just for you to understand if there are any major issues. But it's not a
Hmm.
common practice. However, it's something that I always advise my clients to do because you pay 500 euros, and I mean it's you get peace of mind.
It does look like a man named Eddie in the chat could maybe use your help. We might want to offline that
I
one.
have one point to make. A question, actually. We had a couple times questions for Setúbal. Setúbal is a very beloved place for me. I absolutely love it. So is it a good place to live in terms of value, livability, in terms of school and so forth? What do you guys think? I love Setúbal. Am I wrong?
I love Stuval. In terms of real estate market, it's great. You will for sure get capital appreciation on a property for years and years on end. A lot of the expat community, because Setúbal, it's now an alternative to Lisbon. So a
Okay.
lot of people that they don't want to be in a big urban center or as big as Lisbon, but they want to be close to it. So Setúbal kind of hits that sweet spot where you're 50 minutes from Lisbon by train directly, fairly cheap, well, much cheaper than Lisbon, and the quality of life there is amazing. Great food, much cheaper. So in my opinion, it's a great city with a lot of
Love
potential.
tons of potential. And right by the beach there. Can't beat it.
Right. Yeah. Plus the
All right.
nature around Setúbal. It's
Just
well,
just a ton of activity down in the chat, but we are about to hit 1 hour. Whoa, that is enough time to spend with me, is what a lot of people have told me in the past. So, gentlemen, I want to give you a big round of applause. Thank you for showing up for us. Miguel and the folks at Moviinn are ready to talk to you. So please give them a look-see, would you? And if you want to get the slides from this, then you should come and talk to us. Just email us at the info at slide and
GreenOceanGlobal.net.
let me
Net.
see.
Yeah, there you
Are
go.
you ready to unleash your potential? God, that's so cheesy. But I mean, it's really true. We're all trying to be enablers in the best possible way. So please let us know if you have additional questions, issues, dúvidas também. We're here to help, guys. Any last thoughts before we go? Actually, we have too many people. We can't do that. Just wave at the nice people, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
All
thanks
right.
everyone.
All right. Have a good night, folks. All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.
All right. Bye-bye.